Alright, YouTube, it is Mr. Mean coming at you tonight. It is about 10 o'clock in a very overcast Duluth, Minnesota. Getting back to the video recording, I wanted to do this earlier, but I took a nap. I passed out. I was sleeping. I'm getting over pneumonia, believe it or not. I had it for the last 2 weeks. I missed the last 3 days of work last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, running a temperature, feeling like poop. Everybody knows how it goes. But that's really been my only sickness this year. I think I've had some minor colds, so I'm not going to complain too much. You know, I went to the emergency room here in town, or the Med Express as we call it, I guess outpatient, whatever you want to call it, and everything was great. So good antibiotics, and I'm feeling better. Back to work tomorrow, all that fun stuff. So anyway, let's get the housekeeping out of the way, put the spectacles on so I can see you, so you can see me, so we can see E. Anyway, like and subscribe as always. Ring the bell to be dinged when I donged. I'll put notes down in the doobly-doo. And a big, huge thank you. Much love. Awesome kudos to Mr. Justin P. You know who you are for the donation. Thank you very much, sir. It was very kind and very well timed. So thank you so much. It's awesome. Very kind of you. Appreciate it very much. So as always, you guys can send donations to ZellyPay, jpolak@gmail.com, jpolack@gmail.com. And the cool thing about ZellyPay is it's probably already on your phone if you're a U.S. resident. Most banks and institutions use it, and it's baked into your Android or iPhone app. So you can send donations to me. I get them almost instantaneously, and it doesn't cost you anything, doesn't cost me anything. So thank you very much. If you're in Europe or overseas and you want to send me a donation, you can do it through PayPal. Again, my email is jpolak@gmail.com, and I should be able to get the money that way. And I think I'll even see if I can redo my PayPal, Pay Me, or whatever they call it. That might be a way for international people to help support, because I've had a number of people from overseas want to donate to the channel, but they can't because ZellyPay is not supported overseas, which I think sucks, but it is what it is. So anyway, with that out of the way and all that good stuff, thanks to all the new subscribers. You guys are awesome. Let your friends know if you have friends that are into tabletop RPGs and you want to a different perspective and look at things, send them to my channel, man. Liking and subscribe really helps. I would love to get to over 1,000 subscribers, so therefore I can have my channel monetized, which means I make a little bit of money. Probably not much, but hey, every little penny helps, is the old saying. Well, there's a moth in the house. And the nice part is I've already got the hours. That's the cool thing. You guys are rabid. You guys watch my content, and you're watching it. A lot of you are watching it all the way through. And most of my videos range between 20 minutes to an hour on average. Very rarely do I go over an hour, and very rarely are they less than 20 minutes. And I've got the hours. In order to be monetized on YouTube, you have to have a minimum of 1,000 subscribers, and you have to have X amount of hours. I forgot what the number is, but I'm like double the hours. So we're definitely, the content's going out. You guys are gobbling it up. So thank you so much. Peace, love, and respect to all of you guys. That is very cool. So today's video du jour, there's a new version coming out in August, and I don't think I've actually reviewed the RPG. I did a quick look through the archive, didn't see anything. If I'm wrong, post it in the notes below. But for those of you that haven't seen it, and the new viewers who maybe haven't gone that far back in the archive, because I don't think I've actually reviewed this specific product, let me know. But anyway, today's video du jour, Pathfinder core rulebook. This is the 4th printing as of 2010. I don't remember the year this came out, but this is already going on 19 years. I mean, look at this chunk. I remember doing the beta test for this and downloaded it and printed it off. The company I was working for at the time, nice thing about being in IT is I have access to all the printers and everything. So I was able to print the play test, and it was like 500 some page. You can see this one is lovingly worn. It has stood the test of time. None of the pages are falling out. They are stitched and sewn. They're sewn in, and it's a glue binding, but it's held up. I've played this a couple times. I've GM'd it 2 or 3 times over the course of the years. I do like it. It's just too crunchy for me. It falls into the same problem that 3.5 D&D had. Just too much stuff. You can see that whole shelf there. That's all Pathfinder books. I stopped buying the books because I just couldn't afford it anymore. I love the books. They're great resource material. I love Glorantha, which is the world, or Galarian, which is not Glorantha. That's a different game. Too many games up in the noggin. Galarian, which is the world this is based on. There is a ton of Splat books. Far too many for me to go through. Tons of PDFs. Paizo. I'll put links, of course, to the game and everything down below in the doobly-doo. But this game is super well supported. If you like your crunch, if you want the days of 3.5, but you want a new world that's different. If you want a fantasy trope that's your typical fantasy trope with monsters and kick in the door, take the treasure, go back to town, sell your loot, get bigger and badder, go down, fight bigger, badder monsters, come back. This is the game for you. It's a good system. It's a D20 system. If you played D&D, pretty much any version, you understand how this works. This gets a little more intricate. I like to call it 3.75 because they cleaned up like attacks of opportunity and stuff like that. They added some of their own stuff to make it their own. Paizo took it over when with the open game license, and when D&D was reinventing itself with 4th edition, which I think I've done a review on 4th edition. I have to go back and check. If I haven't, I need to go back and do that, because 4th edition, as much as it's bemoaned, did have some good points to it. And there was a lot of things in 4th edition that I really liked, but there were a lot of things that I did not like. And unfortunately, the did not like overwhelmed the like. And that's sad, because the books were beautiful. The one thing WotC and Paizo both have in common is the production value on their products is top notch. You won't find bad products in either one. You may not like the content of the product, but the actual physical characteristics of their books and the value that you get out of them, for the most part, is pretty solid. I would have to give the upper notch to Paizo. I think their bang for their buck on their books is a little bit better than WotC. That's just my opinion. Your mileage may vary. But so 2010, we're looking at 19 years already, guys. And I know it's older than that. I know this came out before 2010. I want to say 2008. I don't remember. Somebody put the notes down below if your search foo is better than mine. I didn't look that hard. I just looked in the book here. But this one is the 4th printing of 2010. And this is the first one I bought because I ran with the playtest book for a long time until I just realized I was running into some inconsistencies in the rules and stuff, and other players who had the book were going, no, that's wrong. It was errated or whatever in the core book. So I went out and I bought this. I bought this brand new back in the day. So this has traveled with me since 2010. So this is almost 20 years old right here, and and it's been moved many times, and it's held up. So good test of quality. So they've put out a ton of products. Like I said, I got a couple here just to show off. But of course, there's the core book, and I don't even know what revision they're on right now. But we're looking at 576 pages, with the last page being ads. Which I kind of like. I like to know what's coming out. Even if it's old, I like to see maybe you can still find those books. So for me, that's cool. But it's got a full table of contents, full index. The other cool thing that Paizo does is all of their books are released as PDF. So if you're a pirate foo, if you're one of those guys that, maybe you're a starving college student, or maybe you're just broke like me and you can't afford to go out and buy all these books, I'm not condoning it, but they are out there. And usually the quality is really good because it's people that upload the PDF copies that they bought. I don't condone it. I don't have any RPGs on my channel that I have not personally bought or have not been given to me by the game designer or developer. And when I'm given a free product, I always do a disclaimer at the beginning of the video. These I've bought all myself, obviously, as you can tell, because they're physical books. So just to give you an example of the wealth of material that's out there, they have a number of campaign settings. So this one is the Inner Sea World Guide. This is, and I like it because they're 3.5 OGL compatible, but it's really their own world and their own rules. They've tweaked them enough that I think now it's Pathfinder. I don't really call it 3.5. Let's see if we can find a date on this one. And they do give homage to Gary Gygax and Dave Arness. So yeah, there's no date in here. There's a 2000 OGL copyright, but that's just when WotC. Oh, 2011 Paizo Publishing. So this came out in 2011. So, and this is again full index. The art is fantastic. Let's see who cover art. Wayne Reynolds does a lot of their art, and he's amazing. We're looking at 316 pages. There's a table of contents and a full index. And one of the things I love about Pathfinder, map in the back of the book. And it tells you, I've never even used this because look, the map is still stuck in there. So Inner Sea World Guide, this will give you all the different realms and areas that are in the Inner Sea for Galarian races. They have a lot of their own specific races and stuff, which is really cool. So that's a really good player and GM book, of course. The nice thing I do like about the core rule book is this is for players and GMs. You buy this, really this is all you need. This falls into the same category as Palladium Fantasy. This is the only book you need. So unlike D&D where you got to buy 3 books. So again, this would be also another, if you've got a friend who doesn't like the world of D&D, or maybe doesn't like the specific mechanics of D&D, but is okay with the D20 based system, maybe turn them on to Pathfinder. And with the second edition coming out, I'm telling you, second edition is going to rock. I mean, I'm really enjoying 5th edition right now. I'm running a Midgard campaign by Kobold Press, and I am absolutely loving it. And I'm not a huge 5th edition fan. I think there's a lot better games out there than D&D, but in the area I live in, mostly all the players want to play is D&D and or Pathfinder. So we're probably going to swap over to Pathfinder when it comes out, at least give it a go. And we may go back to Midgard because everybody seems to really like it. I'm really enjoying it. But that being said, if you've got a friend or a fellow gamer or loved one and they're not enamored with 5th edition and they want something maybe a little bit different, turn them on to Pathfinder. And with August right around the corner, you can get into Pathfinder 2.0, and that might just be your ticket. But you can pick up these books on the cheap. A lot of used bookstores will have the core Pathfinder book. If you don't want to, drop the, I think it's $50 for the core rule book, you can get it as a PDF. Yeah, $49.99 is the retail price, and it's still that price to this day. So that's kind of a cool thing as well. So yeah, you can get all these books as PDFs, so maybe you don't want to sink the money knowing that there's a second edition right around the corner, or there are a number of people out there, starving college students and the like, or just down like me, poor people who can't afford to buy the latest and greatest books. So after 2.0 comes out, these books are going to be dirt cheap. They're going to be in the used bookstores. They're going to be, in your Bookmans and your, those places that sell used gaming stuff and all that stuff. Bookstand, all those places you'll be able to buy it. Especially the online warehouses, Barnes and Nobles, Amazon.com. They're going to want to blow this stock out of the water. Paizo has said that they are not going to stop production of first edition. They have a full product line. They are going to cut back. They are going to reduce the amount of new releases, obviously, because it's hard to focus on 2 game lines that are basically the same, just with updated rules. And then they're going to phase out over the following year. They're going to phase out. And I think the last new product for Pathfinder first edition is going to be 2020 or 2020, early 2021. So we've got another year of Pathfinder. So if you're heavily invested in Pathfinder first edition, your hope is not lost. And according to them, all of the first edition material is going to be fully integratable into second edition. So they're going to put out an upgrade, probably article, PDF or something you'll be able to download off their website for free, and you'll be able to use your existing, because the world and everything I think is going to stay the same. If I remember watching some of the reviews, they're not changing everything. So getting back to the core of Pathfinder 1.0 and what it's all about, one of the things they do is they put out adventure paths, which are usually about $20 books that run about 100 pages, maybe 60 to 100 pages they charge. anywhere from 15 to 20, 24.95 if they're over 100 pages. And they're little splat books, and it's what they call an adventure path, and it's usually 6 issues, and they break it up, and every month they release a new issue, and they're soft cover, and you play them, and the GM buys it and plays it, reads it and figures it all out and runs it for his game. But the very first one they did was Rise of the Rune Lords when they first came out. And so what they did, let's see if we can find a date on this. They came out with like somewhat of a 2012. They had come out with the Adventure Path, I think in 2010 or 2011, or maybe even earlier. I don't know, because I never got them. I wasn't into it. I don't like pre-panned adventures, but they came out with the anniversary edition, and this is really nice. There's no ribbons in it, I don't think. I wish they would have put ribbons in it. And this is the first time they'd done something like this, and you can see, if you splat it, you can tell where the 6 different books start. You can see the different pages. The downside to this, it's full of typos. It's full of inconsistencies. They did not go back and clean this up, at least not in the first printing. Maybe in later printings they did, but there's a ton of typos. I actually ran this for my gaming group. We didn't finish it. I got annoyed, and it's one of the reasons I don't like running pre-canned adventures. They're not always well thought out. They're not always put together properly, and this one wasn't. There are some inconsistencies and just some downright, you hit a brick wall and you're like, what? And GM has to think on his feet. And I hate to say it, but I am a last minute prepper, so I don't have time to sit here and read through or go on the forums and figure out and look for the corrections in order. I'm usually reading it, sometimes literally hours right before my game, to prep for that game, because that's just that part of my life is chaotic, and that kind of free time is spent playing with my son or doing whatever. So so that was the downside. The upsides: this is the anniversary edition. Everything you need is in here. If you buy a different edition, a later printing, hopefully it's been fixed in the actual printing. If not, I know you can go on their forums, and they have a stickied post that you can print out that has all the corrections and stuff, the right things. Because like sometimes they point you to an encounter that's not in the book, or they give you they reference an encounter, and you're like, where's this encounter? You can't find it. So how are you supposed to prep for it, and so on and so forth. So but it's the anniversary edition. I bought it at the time because I was gonzo for it, and it is a good read. It's fun. The art is fantastic. And this is one of the things. I hope they do this with the rest of their adventure paths. I don't know if they will. This was their first one, so it was kind of a special deal. And then they have, along that same line, of course, they have all the adventure books. They have the setting books and everything. But one of the things they have is they also have just general source books, and one of them is the Pathfinder Ultimate Magic, and there's the Ultimate Fighter, and there's religion, and there's all kinds of splat books. I'll put links in the doobly-doo to the Paizo website, and you can see the wealth of information they have. But this is all about magic, so it's got everything in here. And let's see when this was printed. First printing was April 2013, so full table of contents, we're looking at 255 pages for $40, which I think is a pretty good bang. It's hardback, it's stitched. Yeah, it's stitched and it's glued. You can see that there. I've had this since original 2013. I bought it brand new. And the art in it is fantastic. All the spells in it. This is all the magic you can need. It goes through all your different spellcasters, and in mastering magic, feats, words and powers, spells, and an appendix. And then, of course, all the different spellcasters. Your base magus, alchemist, bard, cleric, druid, inquisitor, monk, oracle, paladin, ranger, sorcerer, summoner, witch, and wizard. that's a lot of spellcasting classes, and it goes through and gives you a bunch of different options. So, and they have all kinds of splat books like this. They have one for Ultimate Combat. They have a GM's book, which is really, really good. I mean, even if you're not playing Pathfinder, I recommend you read it. It's really well done. So they have a lot of cool stuff. A lot of it's in hardback. A lot of it is softback. They're bigger books. Usually, if they go over 100 pages or 200 pages, they tend to make them a hardback, which I like. I'm a hardback guy. I like the hardback books. And like I said, they tend to do the hardback. And you can see they've got, of course, all their bestiaries. I didn't point out a bestiary. Let's, just for my friend Brad, let's slide back to the bookshelf and let's grab a bestiary. Actually grabbed 2 books. So here's the aforementioned Game Mastery Guide. This goes for $40 as well. Let's see when this was published. First printing was 2010. So this has been out for quite a while. And like I said, great book. If you're new to Pathfinder, or you want one of your friends to GM, and you're going to buy them the book, I would get this as well. Even if you get it as a PDF and send it to them, it's well worth it. This is a very good read. There's lots of good information in here. Just good information on GMing in general, not just, it is specific to Pathfinder, but it's good information for any GM. And lots of good stuff. So yeah, full index, full table of contents. You can't meet it. Adventures, adventuring temps, NPC gallery, creating a world, rewards, non-player characters, player characters, running the game, and getting started. How to set up house rules, and how to deal with awkward players, and how to deal with the Monty Hall player, or how to deal with the mind player that they want everything. They say it just really good information. All kinds of great art in the book. As always, their art is phenomenal, and the books all keep the same theme and layout. Just good information in general. Nothing that you're not going to be hurt by buying this. This is money well spent as far as I'm concerned. But then they've had at least 4 bestiaries, and I think they've got a 5th one coming out. Yeah. Because the first one was just called the Bestiary, and then there was Bestiary 2, Bestiary 3, and I think Bestiary 4 is actually just coming out or about to come out. I have no doubt they're gonna reprint all of these for 2nd edition. Because people will buy it. Because I'm an edition whore, I want the latest and greatest, and I'm not gonna play 1st edition anymore, because 2nd edition, I did the playtest for it. I know the changes that are coming, and I can tell you, it's amazing. They're going to an action economy, if you don't know. So right now, in D&D 5th edition and Pathfinder 3.75, as I like to call it, you have an initiative, and then you have an action. And within that action, there are several things you can do. You can do a move action, you can do an attack action, and you might have a bonus action if you're lucky. But it kind of limits what you can do, and there's some you don't feel like you have enough choices or options available with that action, and they do list the different things that you can do. Don't get me wrong, 5th edition's not bad, but with the action economy mechanic, which is what Pathfinder 2nd edition has, you get 3 actions, and what you do with those 3 actions is up to you. You can move 3 times, you can attack 3 times, you could use a potion, you could move and you could attack, or you could move and attack, and there's different modifiers and things that go into it, but it is not complicated at all, and it's very well laid out. So 2nd edition to me is going to rock. Spellcasters are going to be, I think 5th edition did a good job with their cantrips and their making them multiple casts, and every casting class has a go-to spell that they can cast and deal damage, and so they're not out of magic. 1st level wizard cast his magic missiles, he's done. He cast mage armor on himself, and he cast magic missile, and now he's out of 1st level slots. He can't cast any more spells. Well, now that 5th edition has cantrips, and you can sling that flame bolt or electric bolt, you can call it whatever you want. It does 1d6 damage or 1d10 damage, and you can sling that bad boy all day. Warlocks have Eldritch Blast. The clerics have some sort of flame. I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, the point is these cantrips make them useful. Well, Second edition Pathfinder kind of has the same thing. First edition Pathfinder is kind of locked into that 3.75, D&D. You have an action, you do it, you're done. So you're limited a little bit, and they're giving you more options. It's not that you're super limited, you're just less limited, if that makes any sense. So they've had all these bestiaries. This one went, again, $40 is the tagline. Let's see when this is their first one. So this is probably 2011 is when this one came out. We got a full table of contents, 324 pages of monster goodness. And of course, the ever famous mimic. You got to have your mimic, right? So, and the art's phenomenal in here. It's really well done. Gnolls. You got to have your gnolls, and then your Giraloo, or whatever. What are they called? Giraloon. They're basically gorillas with 4 arms. They're demonic, I think. No, it's a magical beast. So they give you the icons here, and you use those icons to build your dungeon and stuff. So very cool. So that's kind of, I just wanted to point out that, there's a ton of games out there. There's something for everybody's flavor. If you don't like, Eberron, or you don't like Forgotten Realms, or you don't like 5th edition D&D, maybe Galarian is your thing. Maybe Pathfinder is your jam, very in-depth world, very well put together, very well laid out. Tons of stuff written for an active community, just like D&D. They have probably the best goblins in the game system. I love Pathfinder goblins. In fact, I use the Pathfinder goblin miniatures in my D&D game when I'm using goblins, because I love them that much. They are awesome. They even had a little splat book that came out called We Be Goblins, and it was you play goblins, and it was a lot of fun. I got to play it at a convention, and it was a hoot. And it's also a monster guide. They also did come out with, I think they came out one for gnolls and one for bugbears and stuff like that. So just little splat books. They were I think they were $10, maybe $15, maybe $20. I don't remember. If somebody knows, put it in the notes. But just super cool stuff. So I just wanted to toss it out there that there's a lot of different genres of games. You're not pigeonholed into just playing D&D. If you're new to the hobby, explore a little bit. If you really dig sci-fi, if you're that guy that watches Star Wars and you watch Babylon 5 and I can't think of the name of it now. Any of Star Trek, any of those games, there are role-playing games out there devoted to those. But maybe you want something a little more abstract and you want to play something different. Stars Without Numbers is a great system. It's kind of on the OGL. It's based on the old system of D&D. It's a D6 based system. It's kind of its own system, but it's a super cool system. There's Genesis RPG, which is by Fantasy Flight. Now you do have to buy some funky dice, but I'm telling you, one session with those dice and you'll be down. You'll understand. And to be honest, it's a video for another time, and I've already talked about it. But you've got Force and Destiny, Realms of Tyranoth for Genesis RPG, which is a generic. You could just buy the core book of Genesis, and you can play a Western if you want. You just got to use those funny dice. And to be honest, just go out and buy some of those. You can find them on discount now, probably in discount shelves. Either the Star Wars or the Genesis generic box set. It's it was at retail. It was $30. It came with a rules primer, some pre-done characters, and a set of dice. Well, the dice themselves are $15 if you buy them from Fantasy Flight. You may be able to get them online a little bit cheaper, but I'm telling you, one session going over those dice and you'll have it figured out. And there's a number of really good character sheets online that will have the dice codes on there, on the character sheet already, to help you out. So don't be pigeonholed into just D&D or Pathfinder. There's tons of different, almost said video games. There's tons of different tabletop RPGs out there. If you're into horror, there's the standby of Call of Cthulhu, Trail of Cthulhu, Tales from the Loop. There's tons of any genre you want. There used to be a 3.0 RPG called Revelations, which was basically biblical. So if you're big into the church and you're like, satanic panic or whatever, you could get this version of, it was based on the 3.0 D&D, and it was all about the Bible and everything, and there was nothing demonic in it, and it was, if that's your jam, hey, cool, kudos for you. So just saying, there's a lot of different games out there, and check with your gaming group. You guys have been playing D&D for a while, but ask the group, hey guys, you want to try something different? We're all, they're your friends most likely. You know them pretty well. Hey man, we're all into sci-fi. We're all into Star Trek. There's this company called Modifius, and they make a Star Trek role-playing game. I'm thinking about picking it up. Would you guys be down to play it? And you'd be surprised. Your players will pretty much play just about anything if given the opportunity. And you can even go to the point where you go, guys, I'm burnt out on D&D, or I'm burnt out on Pathfinder. I want to try something different. They may bow out for a week or two, but when you do that every week or bi-weekly, it becomes a habit. And when you try to break a habit, it's hard, and so they'll miss it and they'll come back. Trust me, I've seen it happen a million times. So, give those other games a whirl. Come back and watch some of my reviews. If you're a diehard D&D player and you're like, oh man, I want to try Modifius's, Mutant Chronicles. That sounds really cool. Techno fantasy, sci-fi. That's I want to try that. Go back and watch my review. See if it's your jam. And go for it. Or maybe you want to try a different, altogether type of fantasy game like The Dark Eye. Always doing Kickstarters, and their Kickstarters are awesome because they always have pledges that include the past stuff. So if you have the money and you want to dump into something different, and your group is willing to give it a try, boom. And don't forget the number one rule: free. Almost all of these RPGs, you go to their website and they'll have a free primer of some kind that you can download, or you'd be surprised. Email them and say, hey, I'm looking to try your game. Do you have any kind of free? Sometimes they'll send you a free PDF of the game, because that one free PDF, if you've got, the average gaming group is 5 players, you get one. The company sends you one free PDF, and then at least 3 of your players are going to go out and buy the book, and you might even buy the book. So there's 3 to 4 sales that they've made off of one free PDF. So it behooves them to throw that stuff out there, to help sell their product, especially if it's a smaller game company. They're really good about that. If you live anywhere in the Minneapolis area, there's the Fantasy Flight Game Center, which is open every day, 7 days a week, and you can go there a lot of times, and they're doing game demos. And it's not always necessarily their games. They're running D&D, or they're running something else. So always check your local game store. There's always options. So and of course there's Fantasy Ground and Roll20. If you live in out in the boonies and you don't have anywhere to play, you can always play online for a nominal cost. Roll20 is actually free. Fantasy Ground is free as long as one of you has a license. Other people can connect for free. So anyway, guys, that's just my thoughts on Pathfinder and role-playing in general, and different flavors and genres of games. Hope you enjoyed the video. As always, like and subscribe. Remember, ding that dong to be dinged when I dong. Say that 5 times fast. And as always, if I can find my mouse here, I always lose the mouse. Where is it? Peace and hair grease. And remember, be safe on this 4th of July. Parents, help your kids with fireworks. Even if they're kid-friendly, still give them a hand. Peace, love, and hair grease. And remember, Mr. Mean says be nice.